I worked 3 jobs a day to support Benjamin through school. After he graduated, he was acknowledged by his wealthy birth family and became the young master of a rich household. Everyone said that my hard days had finally come to an end, that I was about to become a rich young lady. But behind everyone's back, I asked Benjamin, "Do you want to break up?" He froze for a moment, forcing an unnatural smile. "What kind of silly thing are you saying?" I saw the hesitation in his eyes and gave a calm smile. "It's okay. You don't need to feel torn. I'll walk away on my own." That night, I packed my luggage and left the rented apartment that carried 3 years of memories between us. Chapter 1. Breaking up with me? Benjamin was clearly stunned, as if I had hit the mark right in his heart. Seeing me looking at him, maybe feeling guilty, he rubbed my head and forced an unnatural smile. "What nonsense are you talking about? Just moments ago, I overheard his conversation with an old high school classmate. Damn, man. Your life is basically a comeback story. Even Elizabeth, the school goddess, has to chase after you now. Back in high school you were chasing her like crazy and she wouldn't even give you the time of day. Must feel amazing now. Huh? I heard your family's planning a marriage alliance with Elizabeth's. But what about that delivery girl girlfriend of yours?" At that moment, I was still foolishly waiting for him to say something like the male lead in a romance novel. Something like "I'll only ever marry her." But instead, he lowered his head and said indifferently, "I've been wanting to break up anyway. We don't have anything to talk about. Let it be. Besides, my family would never let me marry a delivery girl." So it turns out that all these years, I was the one clinging to him. In his eyes, I was just someone who delivered takeout, someone unworthy of him. But just not long ago, he held me and said he wanted to spend eternity with me. I thought I knew him well enough. 2 years ago, I worked around the clock 24/7 just to earn money for us to live on. I didn't even have time for instant noodles. My friend pitied me and said it wasn't worth it, that she was afraid I'd end up with nothing. But I swore to her that Benjamin wasn't that kind of person. Reality slapped me hard. Everything I did was nothing but my own one-sided wishful thinking. To him, it was a burden, but if he didn't like me, he could have just said it. Why did he look at me again and again with those affectionate eyes and tell me I was the only one for him? He made me fall deeper and deeper, tricking myself into believing he liked me too. So much so that I almost forgot the girl he liked from the very beginning was never me. Back in high school, Benjamin's pursuit of Elizabeth was known to everyone, and I was merely the bystander who witnessed it all with my own eyes. Back then, Benjamin was poor. He wore the same faded school uniform through spring, summer, fall, and winter. But he was also rich in another way, rich enough to give Elizabeth limited edition music boxes and concert tickets no one else could get. Yet to Elizabeth, these meant nothing. She received music boxes from more than just him, and the impossible-to-get tickets would be shoved into her hands by someone else the next second. Elizabeth never saw him as anything. She treated him as a fool she could order around however she pleased. She crushed Benjamin's dignity into the dirt again and again, and he still willingly followed behind her. I don't even know when I started liking Benjamin. Maybe it was each time I saw the light in his eyes shatter, only for him to force himself to piece it back together again. The broken boy looked with such sincerity at the light he wanted to protect, while forgetting that he himself was already covered in wounds, and the light saw his wounds, wanting to hold him close and heal him. I couldn't bear to see the boy hurt any further, so I tried persuading Elizabeth to at least look back at the shadow that never left her. She sneered at me, calling me foolish. Later, someone secretly took inappropriate photos of Elizabeth and Benjamin, trying to defend her, beat those people up so badly they were seriously injured. He was sentenced and left with a criminal record. Elizabeth refused to clarify the truth for him, and her whole family flew abroad. He had originally been admitted to a top university, but because of his record, his admission was revoked. He shut himself off from everyone. I ignored the glass he threw at me and still walked up to him. When the warm blood slid down my calf, he finally stopped smashing things and handed me a band-aid. "Just go. Don't waste your time on me. I'm nothing but a ruined mess now. Just leave me to rot." Chapter 2. Back then, he had completely given up on himself. I was afraid he would do something extreme. So rain or shine, I brought him 3 meals a day and watched him finish every bite. I searched online for all kinds of inspirational quotes, trying to pull him out of that darkness, until one day, his foster father called me drunk, saying Benjamin had slit his wrists and lost too much blood. Now in the hospital, that day, his foster father hurled vicious insults at him. "If you want to die, do it outside. Don't bring bad luck to my house. When I adopted you, I thought you were smart and might take care of me in the future. Who knew I ended up raising a damn burden?" I couldn't listen anymore. I grabbed Benjamin by the collar and started yelling at him. "Benjamin, pull yourself together. Do you think life is easy for anyone out there? You panic like the sky is falling over something so small. When trouble hits your doorstep, you don't think about solving it, you think about running away. So your admission got cancelled. So what? You can do it again. What obstacle is so impossible to cross, if you can't even overcome this little setback? No wonder Elizabeth never liked you. After everything that happened, I spoke to him cautiously every day, terrified that one wrong word would trigger him. He stood there, stunned by my yelling, eyes turning red, in his horrible family environment. His excellent grades were the only thing that gave him any ounce of confidence. I wiped the tears gathering at the corners of his eyes. "You're so smart. There's no way your life ends here. Get through this, and everything will get better." I don't even know where my confidence came from back then, but I pulled him along and moved into a rented apartment together. My grades were mediocre, at best. I'd get into a vocational college. My family wanted me to start working early to help with expenses. They gave me 5,000 yuan and told me to go make something of myself and bring honor back home. Seeing how tight money was for me, Benjamin suggested giving up on his own education. I immediately shut that idea down. I told him his only job was to get his degree, everything else I would take care of. During the day, I washed dishes in a restaurant. At night, I delivered food. Whenever I had a spare moment, I handed out flyers on the street. That was barely enough to cover our living expenses. Once, wanting to earn a bit more to buy him reference books, I accepted dozens of delivery orders in one night. In the end, I collapsed from exhaustion near a bridge. Seeing my legs wrapped in layers of gauze, Benjamin's eyes turned red. I forced a smile and told him it didn't hurt. He pulled me into his arms and scolded me for being stupid. He said I was his whole life, and swore that one day, he would make sure I lived a good one. Chapter 3. After Benjamin's family learned how much I had done for him over the years, they handed me a bank card. I didn't know how to react. 3 years, I didn't do all that for a bank card. Benjamin used to promise that he would give me a good life in the future, but I never expected a glamorous or extravagant lifestyle. To me, simply living steadily by his side was a good life. Using a bank card to buy off the 3 years between us felt like an insult, almost laughable. My friends around me said that my hard days had finally come to an end, that I was about to become the wife of a wealthy family. But deep down, I knew the truth. How could a wealthy family possibly marry someone like me? It's supposed to be equal status, equal background, someone like Elizabeth. Benjamin liked Elizabeth from the very beginning. What he felt toward me was probably gratitude. And maybe ever since college, he had already felt we couldn't truly talk. Back then, when he talked about academic things, I couldn't understand. And when I talked about the things I encountered while delivering food every day, he didn't want to hear. Later, I noticed he spoke less and less. I am someone extremely insecure. In my eyes, he was so outstanding, with beautiful girls everywhere in college. I was afraid he'd fall out of love. I kept trying to prove, again and again, whether he still loved me. Whenever we argued, I would throw out that line, "Don't forget who paid for your college education." During our worst fight, I forced him to take me to buy a DR diamond ring and promise to marry me right after graduation. He froze for a long moment, then took that ring out from his drawer. He said he had bought it long ago, and deep down I knew that the ring didn't really fit me. But I still chose to deceive myself and wear it anyway. Now, I looked at him seriously, my obsession pushing me to ask one more time, unwilling to give up. "Be honest, do you want to break up?" Seeing my serious expression, he put away his smile and stopped talking. I laughed at myself for being foolish. What exactly have I been chasing? Clearly, I had guessed the answer long ago, yet I kept lying to myself, hoping I might be wrong. but the ring on my finger was put on by his own hand. The advertisement said that this kind of ring can only be purchased once in a lifetime. I've loved him for so many years, how could I not hold on to this foolish hope? Chapter 4. I turned around and pretended nothing had happened, going to water the champagne roses on the balcony. The champagne roses on the balcony were something he and I planted together. We saw them at a flower shop one day, and after reading their meaning, we decided to buy them. He asked me back then when I had developed a hobby for growing flowers. I told him it was because they were pretty, but it was more because of their flower language, only devoted to you. He walked up behind me and spoke softly. Laura, you will always be the most important person to me. Tears instantly flooded my eyes. My eyes are clearly big enough to hold all the wonders of the world. So why are they also so small? Too small to hold even a few tears? I kept my back to him, not wanting him to see my mess. I quickly wiped my tears away and blurted out, "Then what about Elizabeth?" He fell silent and said nothing. I lifted my head toward the window, trying to let the wind dry the tears in my eyes. Putting down the vase, I turned to face him and struggled to remove the ring. The ring was a size too small. Back then I had forced it onto my finger, and it had been painfully tight. Now, taking it off, my hand finally relaxed. A relief, like being released from a weight. I pushed the ring into his hand. Here, take it back. I looked at the indentation the ring had left on my finger. Sorry. I stretched it out. He opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something, but I didn't want to hear anything anymore. Suddenly, the bedroom door swung open. Chapter 5. Benjamin's university friends walked in. Seeing us standing together, one of them joked, "I was wondering why no one answered after I knocked for so long. Turns out the lovebirds were busy flirting." What can I say? Interrupting people's romantic moments is just part of my personality. But seriously, we're here to bring you good news. Your thesis won an award. Benjamin's friends were refined, polite, and well-mannered. They all knew about me, admired my capability, and envied Benjamin for having someone like me. During the 3 years we lived in that rented apartment, they visited often. They knew how poor our life was and always brought a bunch of things with them every time they came. Benjamin sat down and flipped through the awarded thesis. One of them patted him on the shoulder. "Not bad. Man, Laura really put her heart and soul into helping you grow." He looked at me, slightly embarrassed, and replied awkwardly, "Yeah, thanks to Laura." Another friend threw an arm around his shoulder. "You have to bring Laura to the presentation, and we can visit the Forbidden City together while we're at it." Benjamin looked up at me, as if waiting for my response. Another friend chimed in, hyping the mood. "Yeah, Lara's heroic deeds would definitely go viral if posted online." I knew Benjamin didn't want me to go, so I said, "I'll pass. You scholars have your own circles. Someone like me with barely an education won't fit in." His friend straightened up, almost indignant. "Laura, what are you talking about? We genuinely admire you. I've never met a woman willing to work 3 jobs to put her man through college. And a beautiful woman." At that, Benjamin joined in. "Come with us. You haven't really traveled before. Think of it as a trip with a few good friends." The moment those words fell, every pair of eyes snapped toward him. His friend with the shortest temper immediately barked, "Good friends? What nonsense are you spouting? I heard your biological father arranged a marriage for you with that same trashy woman from high school who got you thrown in jail." Seeing him remain silent, everyone got worked up, attacking him one after another. "What? Don't tell me you're actually thinking about agreeing to that marriage? Are you out of your damn mind? You have someone as good as Laura and you want her? If you dare do something so ungrateful, forget Laura, I'll be the first to beat you to death." Only a piece of garbage would pull something like that. In the end, the friend beside him wrapped an arm around his shoulder, patted his chest toward me, and said, "Laura, don't worry, we'll keep him in line." Even if this idiot had 100 times the courage, he still wouldn't dare do something like that. I smiled a little. Soon, the conversation drifted to another topic, but Benjamin never defended himself. Not once. Chapter 6. My friends had advised me more than once. "Laura, are you really going to do this? People's hearts change fast. There are tons of cases like this online nowadays. Can you guarantee that when he becomes successful, he'll still stay loyal to you? The higher he climbs, the bigger the gap between you two becomes. Are you sure he'll truly marry you in the end? This had always been a gamble, and I simply lost. Back then, I hesitated, afraid to say my answer out loud. And now, the answer is even more clear. No, Benjamin would not marry me. Soon, they all gathered together again, discussing academic topics. They were talking in professional terms I couldn't understand. Maybe Benjamin and I were never people from the same world to begin with. I stood up and went back to the bedroom. This bedroom carried years of memories between Benjamin and me. I remembered how, at the very beginning, we could only afford a leaking basement. In sub-zero weather, rainwater dripped through cracks and slowly soaked Benjamin's back. I threatened him with breakup just to make him switch places with me. I shivered under the dripping water, and he held me tightly, saying he would marry no one but me in this lifetime. I stared at my contacts list for a long time before finally dialing Benjamin's family. My voice sounded stiff. "Auntie, about that bank card." His mother's voice was still rather gentle. "So you thought it through. It's 8 digits. You can take it. We're thankful for how you've taken care of Benjamin all these years." Just as she began, she quickly shifted the topic. "You're a smart girl. Use that money to start a small business. It'll be enough for you to live on." What she wanted to say was, if you weren't a delivery girl, if your family background were better, we would have let Benjamin marry you. But there are no such things as if. I answered softly, I sat in the bedroom for a long time, unable to think of anything I wanted to take with me. The closet was full of clothes, yet only 2 or 3 faded shirts belonged to me. I took them down and tossed them into the trash can. When I looked up, I saw the framed photo of Benjamin and me on the nightstand. It was taken on the Hong Kong Ferris wheel, 20-something yuan for 3 rounds. Back then I sat inside the cabin, pulling him close and taking picture after picture. I picked it up, stared at it for a moment, then threw it into the trash as well. In the end, I walked out the door with nothing but that card. As I stepped out, Benjamin's friends asked, "Laura, it's so late. Where are you going?" I casually made up an excuse. "A friend's birthday. I'm heading over." They responded immediately. "Take us with you. The more the merrier." I smiled and declined. "No, she doesn't do well with too many people around." Benjamin knew I was brushing them off. He sensed something, lifting his head to stare at me with a heavy look. I didn't have many friends. Only Iris had stayed with me all these years. Her birthday had just passed not long ago. I waved my hand and, almost instinctively, glanced at Benjamin. "I'm leaving, and never coming back." At 11 p.m., I held that card in my hand and walked away from the place that held 3 years of my memories. In the end, I still accepted the card. Like my friend said, better than leaving with nothing at all. I fought desperately to push Benjamin upward, all the way into the clouds. And in the end, he chose to abandon me. So this card, this cheap little compensation, it's simply what I'm owed. Chapter 7. Following Benjamin's mother's suggestion, I found a commercial development area and opened a milk tea franchise. The location and brand effect made the business boom. I was so busy every day I barely had time to think about Benjamin at all. Whenever I saw delivery workers drenched in sweat, I would instinctively make an extra cup for them, because I remembered my past self. And for a moment, I wondered, maybe among them, someone was also desperately working to support their boyfriend or girlfriend through school, just like I had. If fate allowed me to live my life again, would I make the same choices I once made? But life doesn't offer that many what-ifs. After a long day of work, utterly exhausted, I lay on the bed in my rented room, staring blankly at the white ceiling. I didn't even know what I was thinking. Tears slid from the corner of my eye into the blanket. I wasn't thinking about Benjamin. I lifted my hand and stared at the red indentation left by the ring, wondering when it would fade. Just as I was drifting into sleep, I received a phone call. No one spoke at first. I glanced at the caller ID. "Benjamin." "What is it?" I asked. He remained silent for a long time before finally asking, "Did you touch the things in my box?" Benjamin had a box he treasured. Once, I accidentally opened it and found everything about Elizabeth inside. Elizabeth's photos, and lines he had written recording every conversation between them. I was furious when I first saw it. And that was the first time he ever snapped at me. People online say a man's first love has a lethal power, a forbidden scale no one is allowed to touch. In the end, I compromised. He could keep the box, but it could never be opened again. I replied calmly, "Benjamin, we've broken up. Our promises no longer count. You can open that box whenever you want. I know those things are precious to you. I won't touch them." He seemed somewhat guilty. Then he asked cautiously, "The photo on the nightstand, did you throw it away?" I answered honestly, I was going to throw it away sooner or later anyway." Chapter 8. The call fell into a long silence. I didn't know what else to say, so I simply hung up. My sleepiness vanished entirely. I walked to the balcony, staring at the pitch-black sky, contemplating the meaning of life. I began to question, why does loving someone never equate to happiness? I loved Benjamin, so I did everything in my power for him. Yet why did I never feel happy? After struggling inside for a long time, I finally reached a conclusion. To love someone, you must love yourself first. Looking back, it felt like I had fallen into a people-pleasing system. As a child, I tried to please my parents, forcing myself to do things I didn't want to do. And the affection I received wasn't even 1/10,000th of what my younger brother got. Later, I tried to please Elizabeth, doing everything she didn't want to do, letting her treat me like an obedient attendant. Then I tried to please Benjamin. All my life, I had tried to please so many people, yet I never once thought about pleasing myself. That night, perhaps in a moment of clarity or madness, I used the remaining money on the card to buy myself an apartment. The days that followed were filled with work, managing renovations for my new home, taking care of the milk tea shop. I had no time to wonder whether someone loved me or not. I simply lived for myself. I felt a freedom I had never experienced before. I even regretted not waking up sooner, wasting so much time on someone who wasn't worth it. I ran into Benjamin again at the entrance of my residential community. His friends were pushing him around jokingly. "Benjamin, if you don't win Laura back, don't call me your brother anymore. Your brain must be broken. How could you let go of a woman that good?" Even that high school classmate chimed in. "I agree, Laura is way better than Elizabeth." Chapter 9. After more than a year, seeing Benjamin again, he was still outstanding, with sharp, defined features and deep-set eyes. His long, dark lashes added a softness that shouldn't exist on someone like him. Facing his friends teasing, he casually brushed them off. "If I run into her again, we'll see." Coincidentally, I was standing right behind them. Hearing that, I was going to turn and hide in the cafe nearby. But the next second I bumped straight into one of my milk tea shop employees. "Laura, yeah." She looked anxious. I asked, "What's wrong?" She opened her mouth, hesitated, then glanced behind me. Following her gaze, I turned around. Benjamin's friends were pushing him forward, hyping him up. "She's right there. What are you waiting for? Meeting someone like Laura in this lifetime already means you've used up all your lucky breaks. Miss this chance and you'll be crying later." This scene reminded me of the past, when Benjamin was in his sophomore year. He liked another girl, pretty, cheerful, someone who resembled Elizabeth. He was acting strange during that time. After I pressed him, he confessed. He said he couldn't control himself, that his attraction to her was a physical instinct. I held back my tears and told him all right, that I would step aside. Back then, I was truly stupid, afraid he would starve himself just to save money to buy gifts for that girl. So I transferred all my money into his account. Not long after, just like today, he was pushed toward me by his friends. Seeing his miserable look, I forgave him before he even said a word. Looking back now, I was hopelessly foolish. Like the saying online, one is willing to hit, one is willing to be hit. I turned back to my employee. "Ignore them. What is it? Just tell me." She finally spoke, stammering, "Laura, yeah. I have some issues at home these days. Could I take a few days off?" I sighed in relief. "Do I look like someone hard to talk to?" "Take as many days as you need. Handle everything at home first." "Thank you, Laura, yeah." I watched her walk away. Only when Benjamin's voice sounded behind me did I realize he was standing there. "Laura, I turned around. He stared at me, at a loss for words, unable to say what he wanted. His friends began hyping again. Benjamin, fix your attitude. Apologize to Lara and coax her properly. There were countless times in the past when I wished desperately to hear an apology from him. But he never did. He would never bow his head for me. Now, I didn't want to hear it anymore. He glanced at his friends behind him, then forced out a question. When are you moving back? In his subconscious, I was always someone who threw tantrums, and once my anger faded, I'd naturally return. He never thought he was wrong. That's why he never apologized. But I finally understood. Benjamin's family compensated me for those 3 years with a huge sum of money, which allowed me to live comfortably now, even if I hadn't put him through school back then. With my background and qualifications, I never would have lived like this today. So, I wasn't at a loss. I looked at him and said, I'm not going back. He stared at me deeply, finally let out a low then turned and left. His friends all gathered around, teasing as usual. Well, did Lara forgive you yet? Did you give the ring back to her yet? I'm telling you, the sooner you two get married the better. Watching you two drag this out every day is exhausting for us. Benjamin's voice suddenly dropped. Annoyed. We didn't make up, and I'm not marrying her. His friends fell silent. His voice rose. I never even liked her. Why should I marry her? Do I have to spend my whole life with someone I don't like just because I'm grateful? She's just a friend. Hearing those words, something inside me burst into flames. 3 years. And he says he didn't like me. Now he says he didn't like me. Where was this honesty before? What did he take me for? Some girl who comes when called and leaves when dismissed? I strode forward and slapped Benjamin hard across the face. This slap, plus the bank card your mother gave me. We're even. Those 3 years? Just think of me as blinded by stupidity for liking someone as rotten as you. This marriage? Even if you wanted it, I wouldn't marry you. Remember, I'm the one who dumped you. Everyone froze, staring at me. I rubbed my stinging palm, regretting only that I hadn't slapped him sooner. Chapter 10. Back when I was delivering food to put Benjamin through school, I often came across stories of people being abandoned in the end. So I kept searching and searching, until I finally found a video where a couple actually worked out in the end. And that one video made me happy for a long time. It made me think that maybe there would always be exceptions. Unfortunately, Benjamin and I were not the exception. He got together with Elizabeth. 3 posts a day on his social media, all photos of them together. I couldn't avoid knowing even if I wanted to. I used to ask him to post about us, and he said relationships were for the 2 people involved. No need to announce to the world. But when someone meets the person they truly like, how could they possibly resist showing them off? We met again at a high school reunion. I wasn't planning to go, but Iris dragged me there. Benjamin walked in with Elizabeth. Fingers interlocked. Iris squeezed my hand tightly. Those 2 scumbags. I patted her hand to calm her. By now, I could face everything calmly. And I openly looked at Benjamin and Elizabeth. Elizabeth was still as beautiful as ever, instantly becoming the center of attention wherever she stood. Benjamin saw me too, and deliberately chose the farthest corner from me to sit. He took out wet tissues and carefully wiped every piece of Elizabeth's tableware, asked the waiter for a hot towel, and gently cleaned Elizabeth's hands, just like in high school, taking care of her in every possible way. The entire dinner turned into their stage for showing off their affection. Before I could even say disgusting, Iris said it for me. She puffed up with anger and said she would introduce me to a 185 centimeters male model. I asked her where he was and why she wasn't adding him to my contacts yet. Just like that, the conversation shifted. My attention drifted away from Benjamin and Elizabeth. Later, Iris got drunk. I held her up and walked toward the exit. Elizabeth called out to me, "You haven't changed at all after all these years." I paused for a moment. She continued, "You always think about others, never about yourself." I didn't respond. I kept walking with Iris in my arms. Elizabeth took a step closer. To be honest, if Benjamin were still as poor as before, I wouldn't like him. He's great, but I would never fall for someone who's worse off than me. That's the difference between you and me. I would never make myself miserable just because I liked someone. I nodded. She had always been clear-headed. Because she loved herself enough. She could always live brightly and beautifully. I said with a self-deprecating laugh. I also think I used to be pretty stupid. And suddenly, curiosity struck me. So if Benjamin weren't the son of a wealthy family, would you still be with him? She answered with absolute firmness. No. Bang! Suddenly, shattered glass fell at our feet. Because of Elizabeth's two sentences. Benjamin lost his temper. He looked at Elizabeth. The frown between his brows slowly relaxed. And his voice softened. I've already been officially announced as the lost son of a rich family. What's the point of making impossible assumptions? He couldn't allow that assumption. Because he was afraid. Afraid Elizabeth would leave him again. Chapter 11. When Iris sobered up the next day, she pushed me a WeChat contact. Laura, those two scumbags are flaunting their relationship right in front of you. Hurry up and start dating too. I only said those things last night because I was worked up by the atmosphere. Now that I'm thinking clearly, I'm not ready to start a new relationship yet. Right now, I'm more inclined to focus on my career. The milk tea shop had been booming for the past few months, and I planned to expand its space. I declined her gently. Forget it for now. She thought I was still hung up on Benjamin and sent me several long voice messages cursing him. Listening to them felt great. I replied with 3 rows of thumbs up emojis. As the milk tea store grew larger and the number of employees increased, I gradually retreated to behind-the-scenes work. I used my free time to learn things I never had the chance to before: piano, painting, and more. During that time, a few people showed interest in me, but whenever I mentioned taking things slowly, they all disappeared like they were avoiding a plague. Not even 2 weeks later, I'd see them posting their new girlfriends on social media. My friends joked that I had become a professional matchmaker. I laughed along. I truly wasn't in a rush. I used to pour my entire heart into Benjamin. Now, I wanted to focus on myself first. I wanted to clean out my heart completely before letting someone new move in. As for love, I still hoped to meet someone genuine. For true hearts to meet true hearts. Chapter 12. Benjamin and Elizabeth broke up. He was the one who initiated it. For the past 6 months, I had been traveling everywhere, hiking mountains, visiting exhibitions, wandering through ancient towns and museums, constantly enriching myself. His university friends still treated me as a friend. They followed my posts, occasionally asked how life was going. Soon after, news about Benjamin reached my ears again. After breaking up with Elizabeth, he went on a spree of rebound relationships, until he finally calmed down and stopped. His friends started calling me sister-in-law on purpose, dropping hints that Benjamin was single now, urging me to come back and hang out. Iris was getting married next month and told me I had to come back as her bridesmaid. What I didn't expect was, the moment I got off the plane, they were all waiting for me. Benjamin's friends shouted sister-in-law the moment they saw me, then quickly corrected themselves to Laura Gia when they realized it wasn't appropriate. Laura Gia, look at you! You really became a whole different person after a trip. We were exchanging polite greetings when someone subconsciously mentioned Benjamin. I pretended not to hear and brushed it off. The next second, his voice reached me. You've lost weight. In my opinion, we were no longer close enough for that kind of greeting, but I couldn't think of anything else to say. So I replied politely. You too. He hesitated for a long time before finally speaking. I didn't. Before he could finish, my phone rang. I apologized and smiled at the group before answering. As soon as I picked up, a deep male voice sounded. Laura, where are you? Send your location. Stay there. I'm coming to you. After the call, they all insisted they owed me a big meal for being away so long without taking them along. I laughed and said, sure, you pick the place, but we might need to add one more person. They looked around. Add who? Among the crowd, a man in a black jacket stood out immediately. Something bulky was stuffed inside his chest pocket, and he was guarding it carefully. He unzipped his jacket and handed me a warm bag of roasted chestnuts. For you. I already peeled them. Before boarding the plane, I casually mentioned I wanted roasted chestnuts. He took my luggage from me and squeezed my cheek lightly. You're so cruel, leaving me here alone for so long." Before I even introduced him, he noticed Benjamin's stunned friends. He wrapped an arm around my shoulders and said, "Nice to meet you. I'm Lara's boyfriend, Michael." Chapter 13. Sometimes fate is strange. It arrives suddenly, at an unexpected time and place. That day, like always, I got off work and headed home. A piano melody drifted through the hallway and caught my attention. Following the sound, I found a music room. He sat there in all black, back straight, long fingers gliding over the piano keys, each note carrying a world of emotion. I loved the sound of piano music since I was young, but my family couldn't afford lessons. Later, when I finally had the financial means, I tried studying piano on my own, but something always felt missing. Michael's playing that day was different, special. Even later, he could never recreate the exact feeling of that moment. Maybe fate pushed us together. We ended up talking for a long time that night, even though I was never someone good at conversations. Later, when he confessed to me, I told him we should take it slow. He didn't rush. He simply adjusted to my pace and moved forward step by step. Iris glared at me and complained, "You hiding him from everyone is one thing, but why didn't you even tell me?" I scratched my head. Sorry. I've been so busy I forgot. I never liked making announcements before anything was certain. We had just made things official last week, and I happened to fly to North City to pick a location for the milk tea chain's expansion. It was inconvenient for the two of us to handle business matters together, so I had Michael return earlier. Michael and Iris both stared at me. "What? You forgot about me?" "For punishment, buy me 2 chicken legs. Big ones. I'll buy them for you, double, as a meeting gift. If you're buying, then it's not just chicken legs anymore." All right, pick whatever you want." Michael was outgoing and cheerful. He quickly fit in with everyone. We joked all the way to the restaurant, and only then did we realize someone was missing. Benjamin wasn't there. One of his friends called him. His voice was weak. My stomach suddenly cramped. "I'm at the hospital." Everyone's expression changed instantly. "That sudden? Don't tell me the polyps came back?" His voice was hoarse and faint. "No, just ate something bad. I'm fine. Don't worry." Benjamin had stomach issues. He used to grow polyps frequently. He had to go for checkups every 2 weeks, even though he said it was fine. His friends were clearly worried. They exchanged uneasy glances, so I gave them an easy way out. "You all should go check on Benjamin. Stomach pain isn't a small thing. We can have dinner anytime. I'm tired from the flight anyway. I'll go rest." After they left, Michael squeezed my hand. "You think you can sleep on an empty stomach?" How did he know my stomach had just growled several times? Ignoring his question, I picked up my chopsticks. "Then let's just eat before heading back. We're already here anyway." He leaned on the table, turning to look at me with a smile, one I couldn't quite decipher. On the way home, I kicked him lightly. "This is your fault. You ordered so much food and barely touched any of it. Everyone probably thinks I reincarnated as a pig." He pinched my wrist, tone teasing yet dramatic. "You've lost weight." Before I could react, he squeezed a bit of the flesh on my cheek. "Though, I think your face got chubbier." "Michael!" We were laughing and playfully arguing, when suddenly a figure blocked our path. Michael instinctively tightened his hold on me. Unexpectedly, the person who was supposed to be at the hospital was standing at the entrance of the residential complex. When Michael recognized him, his tone was calm but carried a natural upward lilt. "Benjamin? Feeling better?" I instinctively looked at Benjamin, only for Michael to pinch my cheek again. Benjamin glanced at Michael but didn't respond. He simply gave a small, polite smile. Then he looked at me. Lara. Chapter 14. I reflexively pulled Michael's hand away and stood properly. He looked at me. "Long time no see." I felt a bit confused. I glanced up at Michael, gave a fake laugh. "Long time no see." He looked back and forth between me and Michael. I quickly introduced. "This is my boyfriend, Michael. You just met him." He let out a short scoff, humming quietly. Then he said, "I'm actually not the son of Benjamin's family. I had known that long ago. Back then every platform was pushing news about the Benjamin family's mistaken identity incident. The hospital messed up the DNA sample collection. Sounds ridiculous, but that's exactly what happened. I didn't even need to guess what happened after that. Once he found out he wasn't the heir of the Benjamin family, and once he knew Elizabeth wouldn't stay with him anymore, he took the initiative to break up. Later, to forget Elizabeth. He dated like crazy, but couldn't forget her, so he stopped dating altogether. So what? What does any of this have to do with me? I replied calmly. I know. He was stunned by my answer. Don't tell me he wants me to be the pathetic caretaker who raises him now? I looked at him and blurted out instinctively. Are you out of money? Michael looked down at me in confusion, then at Benjamin. After thinking for a moment, he said, Brother Benjamin, if you're in trouble, just say so. We're all friends. I'll help however much I can. Benjamin ignored him and called me again. Laura. Michael leaned close to my ear, his voice loud enough for the security at the entrance to hear. Does your friend have a fear of men? Why won't he talk to me? I slapped Michael's face away as he leaned in. How would I know? Michael drawled. What's that supposed to mean? Pushing me away for another man? No. I hurried to coax Michael, leaving Benjamin to the side. As I coaxed him, Michael tried to kiss me. He cupped my face and looked at Benjamin. Benjamin, can you step aside or something? Benjamin didn't respond. He just called me again. Laura, can we talk? Before I could answer, Michael pressed his lips to mine, blocking my mouth. Benjamin left at some point. Michael tapped my head. What? You really can't tell what he means? I answered confidently. I can. He's out of money and wants me to support him. Didn't I already refuse? Michael was speechless. Isn't that it? I muttered while walking. Michael suddenly stopped. His breathing rose and fell like he was trying to calm himself. He suddenly snapped, making me jump. Stop thinking about it. Realizing he was angry, even though I didn't understand why, I carefully leaned closer, trying to bring up random topics so he'd talk to me again. I even stood on tiptoe, trying hard to kiss him. Eventually I gave up, holding his hand and lowering my head like a child asking for forgiveness. He suddenly stopped again, breathing heavily to calm himself before saying, You didn't do anything wrong. You don't need to please me. Maybe he saw my slightly red eyes. He sighed, bent down, and spoke gently. Our relationship has always been equal. You don't need to rely on pleasing me to keep love. As long as it's you, I love you, even if you make mistakes. It's okay. Understand? Tears welled up uncontrollably in my eyes. Then why were you so fierce just now? You were loud and fierce. He straightened up, ran his hand irritably through his hair, then bent down again to explain softly. I wasn't being fierce. I was just a bit annoyed. I asked seriously. Annoyed about what? He stammered. Just annoyed that you were talking to that guy. That night I felt extremely happy, but then I received a message from Benjamin, making my heart sink. Do you know your boyfriend is flirting with other women outside? Chapter 15. Benjamin was hospitalized. Something about his stomach, and it didn't seem good. His friends had been in low spirits these days and kept urging me to visit him, to spend more time with him. I felt it was strange and refused. I'm not some miracle doctor. Seeing him a few times won't heal him. Besides, I have a boyfriend. What would it look like if I ran to visit him? Laura, just go see Benjamin. He's not doing well. If he's not doing well, call 911. Even Iris came to persuade me. Laura, you should at least take a look at Benjamin. He seems to be in pretty bad shape. That was when I finally found out he had stomach cancer. In the end, I still chose to go see him with Michael. The once well-defined face had sunken in, lying on the bed. He looked completely worn out. He said he wanted to speak to me alone. I looked up at Michael. Michael patted my head and walked out on his own. They were making it all look so serious, anyone watching would think he was about to discuss his will. After Michael left, the first thing Benjamin said was, Laura, I advise you to break up with him as soon as possible. He's not a good person. Ever since he sent me that text, I had already started to feel resistant toward him. I know my own man, after dating Michael for almost half a year. How could I not know what kind of person he is? I responded impatiently. I can judge that for myself. His expression said he was certain he'd win. Want to bet? Bet on what? Bet on your boyfriend's loyalty. I'm not betting on something that pointless. And aren't you dying soon? If I win, what, are you going to bless me from heaven so I get rich? He choked, unable to find words. In the end, he left me with, just wait and see. Men are all the same. I didn't know whether it was because of Benjamin's words, but I did start feeling suspicious and watching Michael's every move. I followed him for several days, found absolutely nothing. And then it hit me how childish and ridiculous this behavior was. Maybe deep down I didn't trust Michael enough. If a few words from someone else could make me test him, I gave up the idea of tailing him and shifted my focus back to myself. Today, when I was heading out, he suddenly asked, "Not following me today?" I was busy organizing my project plan and replied instinctively, "Nope, go do your bad deeds." He chuckled and answered, "Oh, he left? He actually left?" I put down my project plan, grabbed my bag, and went after him. I secretly followed him all the way to a restaurant, warm lighting, romantic atmosphere, the kind of place for couples. I didn't dare get too close in case he noticed me. Sure enough, a young girl ran over and threw herself into his arms. She said something, and they went upstairs together. The girl was fair-skinned and tender. She looked young. I clenched my fists. Cheating was bad enough, but cheating with a minor? Unforgivable. I punched the wall, then shook my hand in pain. I followed them to the second floor, and there was another woman. She was lying down. Stylish curls. Mature and charming. Michael was disgusting, eating from the bowl while eyeing the pot. Cheating with a teenage girl and cheating with a grown woman? Seriously? I took out my phone, ready to take a picture as evidence, but when I opened the camera, Michael was gone. Suddenly someone grabbed me by the back, and a familiar voice sounded. "What are you doing?" I panicked instantly, looked guiltier than a cheater myself. "Since you're here, aren't you going to come eat with my family?" My brain really had issues. How could I not understand something so simple? Who cheats by taking their mistresses to a fancy restaurant? And one's a young girl, the other a mature woman. I should schedule a brain check one day. My face turned red. Hi, mother-in-law, no. I mean, auntie, hello. His mom was enthusiastic. "Laura, come sit, come sit. So pretty. I often hear Asian talk about you." The little girl next to her curved her crescent moon eyes at me. "Sister-in-law. Hello, my name is Laura. My brother said we have the same name." Yeah, what a coincidence. To this day, I still don't dare think about how awkwardly and clumsily I finished that meal. But in the end, I had won the bet. And right now, I'm happy, truly, satisfyingly happy. What about you all? Have you found your happiness?